One of my favorite things that I've seen all day. So basically, this weekend, I was watching a show called Lethal Weapon. Yes, the TV show, not the movie. And it reminded me of this article because I knew I wanted to talk about it on Monday. So it says, a new report claims that Hollywood focus groups overwhelmingly prefer a fake, problematic TV show to a real woke production. Imagine my shock, right?
What?
So what they do here is they go into detail about how these focus groups works. It says, a typical industry practice, focus groups are a sort of group interview conducted by various studios to gauge the interests of various demographics in a given product, such as film, television shows, and video games. As allegedly detailed by the independent Disney reporter WDW Pro by one of their verified insiders over the past 2 years, one unnamed studio has been organizing a number of such interviews in order to gauge interest in some of their new and already greenlit police action series. This is where I'm going to get into what I mean about Lethal Weapon here.
Dude, this is so annoying. I hate that these type of people need a scientific experiment to validate like absolute observable reality.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so I'm saying it's the hard part is because you know it's true, I know it's true, she knows it's true, but they need somebody.
You could say that Hollywood needs to believe the science and listen to the experts.
So here's what they say. So it says, to do so, they screen 3 episodes of said series as well as 3 episodes of a fake, tonally opposite cop show produced solely for the purpose of the focus group, and afterwards asked participants which of the 2 options they found more engaging. Notably, these episodes were composed of partial animatics and of audio accompaniment with limited voice casts, different such as and featured no music. So it's basically just like a limited pitch series on how to get across the general points of what this series would be. Now here's the details about what the 2 different shows are. So it says Show A, which is currently in production, follows the story of, get ready guys, tell me this doesn't sound like the greatest thing you've ever heard, a young POC policewoman who gets dumped by her girlfriend and transfers to a new precinct in a southern town where she is shocked by the racism, sexism, and abusive power of her new colleagues as well as their poor relations with the community they serve. Quote, with few friends, she doesn't know who the good guys are and who the bad guys are anymore, and has to watch her back on and off duty while she tries to initiate change in both her department and in her community. My goodness! Doesn't that just sound like a ton of fun?
Hey guys, Dane Fawn here, marketing man extraordinaire. Microaggressions are not plots.
I just got off work. And I've had a long day at the office, and I think I'm going to go watch the absolute worst thing I've ever heard in my entire life. On the opposite end of the spectrum.
Like the whole plot there, by the way, was like the main character being put upon.
Yes.
Where was the agency on the part of the protagonist? Yes. What was she doing? What's the story?
On the opposite end of the spectrum, Show B presented viewers with 2 young detectives, 2 white guys, one Ivy League and the other one a good old boy, who are partnered in Vegas where they cultivate informants and recurring girlfriends. So they solve cool cases and sleep with broads. Base. That's awesome.
Broads.
Sign me up.
Every episode includes a fist fight with chairs and bottles flying.
What?
Every second episode has a car chase. Alleys with blowing newspapers, jumping from rooftop to rooftop, unnecessarily overpowered firearms, and muscle cars on the strip.
That's awesome.
Okay, so this was this weekend I started ironically watching the Lethal Weapon TV show, which is one of those things. It's like the Limitless series, which on paper makes no sense and shouldn't work at all. It's got none of the original characters from Lethal Weapon, but it's got Clayne Crawford, it's got Damon Wayans, and it's freaking awesome because it's just them doing. First of all, the Clayne Crawford character, there's emotional resonance. His wife dies in the pilot episode while on the way to the hospital to give birth to their child. So he has a lot of emotional baggage and story elements there. Damon Wayans' character has a heart condition. He has like a pacemaker in, and he's got a wife. He's got 2 children. So there's all sorts of backstory there. But most of the show is them shooting guns, stuff blowing up, going on car chases, saying cool things to bad guys before you shoot them. That's what people want to see.
I think...
And hot women.
Whether it's trying to be woke or not, there are pitfalls of following a template that make things trite and tiresome to watch over and over again. But there are ways that you can like renew and refresh something that just works. Good cop, bad cop stories work.
Buddy cops.
Hot chicks works.
True.
Explosions work.
It's not even that. It's that, oh God, I just came back from an incredibly stressful day at work where I was undermined and whatever. Why don't I sit down during my 2 to 3 hours of spare time to watch an actor go through exactly the same thing as catharsis? No. Suspend disbelief.
This is why I point out that I said the worst thing we could do is when we got gritty and realistic, because it's no longer gritty and realistic. Now, if anything, it's hyperbolic and realistic, meaning that, yes, those are real life situations. There is racism in the world. There is sexism in the world. But usually it's not one person going through every single one of those every day of their freaking life forever. On the counter end, most people will never experience a gunfight. Most people will never experience a car chase, nor will they pick up a bunch of chicks while doing that. They want to live vicariously through these characters. They do not want to watch a bunch of Hollywood moralization and lecturing when they could be watching cool dudes blow. And by the way, in that show, Damon Wayans is black. Clayne Crawford's character is white. I'm just saying that, like, this is. It doesn't have to be. It does not have to be the two white characters, one good old boy and one. It can be anything you want as long as it's fun.
Dane, to your point that people don't want to come home from their stressful day at work and just watch something that's more stressful, and just watching the protagonist undergo oppression and bullying and just like all of these depressing things. That's true, but watching the like cop duo show where they are living this like glamorous, gritty life in Vegas, it also includes high stress points of that plot. And it's not watching people go through stressful situations that is difficult to watch after you've gone through your own stress.
Here's the difference. So and I only know this because by listening to like gaming podcasts, after there is a moment of rising tension, typically in shows or games or any piece of media, something is added to add catharsis to the situation, level the tone, so that you can once again raise the tension once more. Woke shows don't have that. Woke shows are just a consistent line of crying about microaggressions, about how hard and boring life is, and it's just this constant line. Tension is never broken, so you're just watching it and feeling uncomfortable because again, they never break the tension. So a body cop show, right? So they have car chases, the bad guys, everything else, and then they got a poop joke. Breaks the tension. Then they drink beers and they're just awesome and being dudes. And then the bad guy does something. This is what I mean. This is why wokeness objectively doesn't work. It's because it's monotone, uninteresting, predictable.
And show A doesn't encourage you to identify with the protagonist. It actually is trying to pit you against the protagonist and actually feel like you're one of the aggressors against them.
And it's unrealistic for American society. Okay, let's say that's happening. The female cop goes, she tweets about it, instantly the whatever person that was bothering her is fired. The end of the series. We're done.
I'm telling you guys, go watch The Lethal Weapon. It was only like they got rid of Clayne Crawford after 2 seasons. Apparently, he was very hard to work with. But like him in that show is exactly it's why I laugh, because Damon Wayans is like the objectively bigger name actor in that show. But all the great like buddy cop materials given to Clayne Crawford because he's a broken dude who acts quirky and crazy because he's kind of got a death wish in the show. Like with his wife having died, he kind of just goes into every situation without a thought as to whether he's actually going to make it out alive or not. But then Damon Wayans' character, Murtaugh's character's family draws him back in, saying like, she's like, look, his wife says, look, I know that you're that you're not doing well and that you seem to not care about yourself, but I need my husband to make it home at the end of the shift. But in between that, they're joking and they're having fun and they love their job. They're firing guns and saying funny stuff.
Oh, sorry. I just realized that Damon Wayans was related to the Wayans brothers, who
the whole
made
family.
Like Didn't they make Scary Movie? Yeah,
He's the only one of the family that didn't appear in Scary Movie.
That's funny.
So here's the funny thing. Of those two shows, according to the studio, Show B, the Buddy Cop series, tested better with all groups no matter age, sex, or race. Good television does not have a demographic. Everyone likes good television where they don't get lectured. Not being lectured is universal. Nobody wants to be lectured.
But this is my issue with that. My only fear is that I didn't see Black Adam. I doubt it's a 90. I doubt, like, a 9 out of 10 should be reserved exclusively for films that change.
That's an aggregate, though, not individual ratings. It's an aggregate.
I understand,
of how people
but
feel about it.
I feel like people are only feeling that because, like, oh my God, I'm not a terrible person. This is the most incredible piece of art I've ever seen.
Totally.
It shouldn't be that way.
Yes,
The
it should be that way.
antagonism.
No,
Screw these people.
It
No,
should be a
Brett,
7.
Brett.
Ever.
Brett,
A 7,
what-
and that's okay.
Brett, what Dana's saying
I
is
know what he's
that
saying.
the antagonism between the critic class and the
I'm sorry, are you woman-splaining right now?
Spite these people. And
you're woman-splaining. You're
Are
a
you-
woman.
True. Ah.
The antagonism that exists between the critics and the audience is the reason that the reviews are now a battleground of a culture war.
Then
They're not actually representing how people feel about a movie or TV show anymore.
Yeah.
that crap is subjective
More or
as hell anyways. Bop these people on the nose and tell them they're wrong by giving these movie 90s until they
No.
learn their lesson.
If you don't feel that way, if you don't actually think Black
It's
Adam
not
is
that they
excellent,
don't, but
why
it's
would
not
you rate
that
it that way?
It's not that they don't feel that way. It's that they've been pushed back on so much that what they feel has changed in spectrum. So, yes.
So their standards have been lowered.
Yes.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is
Because
it's for
reasons.
you be cognizant of it, you be aware of it, but understand that these actions have consequences. And as long as these douchey reviewers and these elitist people in the media keep treating everyone as if they're of a lower class than them, they deserve to have their opinions pushed back on.
I understand, but our points are not mutually exclusive. Just because it's a decent movie that doesn't moralize doesn't mean it's The Godfather. Is all I'm saying.
It's all subjective, anyways. There's no through line. It's why I have such a problem with movie reviewing in concept, anyways. Your 7 is not my 7. Your 8 is not my 8. My 9 is not your 9. It's
We've gotten into
irrelevant
this
anyways.
difference between subjective and objective
Yeah.
judgments of movies and TV shows.
Chat,
but
tell me why I'm
it's
right.
a big conversation.
Chat, tell Dane how he's wrong.
Just tell me why I'm right.
Tell Dane why he's wrong. So, and it's funny because the shows that they use as examples down here when they're talking about that things that people like, which is like Reacher, which everyone loved. As far as like, that has higher minutes viewed in its first week than Lord of the Rings,
You mean?
than Rings of Power.
Oh, okay.
Wow. It lists Yellowstone. It lists
But like half the hype.
83 because
Isn't it?
it's like what you said earlier, that when it comes down to it, you don't know why it works, you just know it works because that's reality.
And media coverage cannot make up for the show being mediocre in ratings. It just can't fake
But they keep trying to.
real enthusiasm.
Wokeness, as much as I hate that term, on its head, at its heart, is a desire to socially engineer what is liked by society, right? They want to tell you that something like that, this picture right here. There is not a human being on Earth that actually wants to see Stacey Abrams in a Star Trek TV show. None, zip, zero, zilch, nada. Nobody.
Literally the absolute zero.
Such a bizarre.
That
Idea,
is social
anyway.
engineering. That is like I said, there was and to be fair, I remember like when the Gina Carano stuff happened back in the day, like when I still had a Facebook.
Back in the day, 2 years ago.
Yeah, that hellscape. I remember like somebody posted about Gina Carano and they were like that she was brave for coming out against being told that she had to basically go through a 40-person LGBTQIA struggle session. And he's like, I look up to her. She's standing up for what she believes in, blah, blah, blah. And one of the comments was like, I look up to people that deserve to be looked up to, like Stacey Abrams. And I was like, Who in their
planet
right
are
mind
you
of
on?
any politician? That's like I don't look up to Donald Trump. I don't look up to Stacey Abrams. I don't look up to any politician. You're a freaking weirdo, dude. And it's not like the dude who's saying.
Thank you.
And not like the dude who's saying
Gyrate,
like,
Dane.
and to be fair, you should not necessarily be looking up to actors either, right? Like even the ones that agree with you, that's a dangerous place to find yourself. But how's the dance going, buddy?
Amazing.
That was good. So it's just it is what it is. I just think it's funny because they're going to keep trying to do this until they get the message, and you get that message by giving them 90s on Rotten Tomatoes and spending your money on stuff that doesn't tell you you're an awful person, so that they can socially engineer you into being something that society into being something that it's not. Women rescuing men, not real.
I agree.
Not a real thing.
I
You
agree.
really got vindicated about the Galadriel stuff, didn't you? I was really pushing back on you, but you got vindicated.
I agree that a message has to be sent. I just think it's an ineffective message. Okay, so some people rated it a 90 on the tomato meter. Who cares? You know what would be effective? Don't hate watch it. Do not make these
Oops.
terrible projects profitable.
Too late. for
That
us.
way, I mean,
It doesn't matter. They lose money on half of them anyways.
okay, well, lose more money.
It doesn't. These companies are so well insulated now that they just write it off. Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah, this isn't a democratic process.
No, it doesn't matter.
There's no
Like,
hope.
I tend to fall into the category of like, yeah, you could talk about not spending your money on this stuff, but these companies end up fine anyways. So, thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.
Bye.